I'm your host, the one and only Iron Mike Steadman, coming to you for another edition of Bunker Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by the team at Bunker Labs, a national network of veteran and military spouses committed to helping our community start and grow their own businesses. Today, joining me is Chris Switch Ronis and my co-host, Amy Mortensen. What's going on, y'all?
All right, what's up, Mike? Good to
Howdy.
see you, Amy. Good to see you.
I used to look like Chris when I first got out the military. I had a shaved head, had my protein shaker. I was listening to Jocko, 3-hour podcast. I'm way more chill now. I got my little mocha latte right here. Probably gonna do my little meditation after we get off. But man, it's gonna be a good combo today.
You're singing my song with half of them words, man. Meditation, a little mocha latte, all that. Don't let this fool you, man. I'm still, like you said, 4 or 5 months into retirement right now, so I'm still adjusting. But this is Mama won't let me grow this beautiful thing you got here, Mike. She's not a fan.
It's funny. Right. Before I got out, right, I used to tell Marines, like, you gotta shave, you gotta shave your beard. Don't get a beard. Don't be the old Marine with the combat cover and campaign cover with the old cats and dogs and stuff. Here I am running around Newark, got my beard, But it's interesting how the world has changed, and like even beards like more socially acceptable.
Oh, yeah, man.
I'm gonna pass it over to Amy though to talk about any updates that are taking place in the bunker.
Cool. Thanks, Mike.
All right.
So let's see. We've got a couple blog posts to share. So we kicked off Black History Month with a compilation of podcast episodes, blog spotlights, and video narratives featuring Black veteran and military spouse entrepreneurs. So you can check that out on the blog, bunkerlabs.org/black-veteran-owned businesses-to follow, whatever. You'll figure it out, and I'll put it in the chat. We also have to start planning your conference and pitch competition schedules. So we've got that on the blog as well. So it's a bunch of stuff happening this year that is also on the blog. I think that is the spotlight on the blog. And then finally, you can check out your local events on our communities page. So bunkerlabs.org/communities. And I mean, that's kind of all I got. And I know, Mike, you wanted to do a shout out. So I will pass it back to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Amy. So I have a guest on the transition this week, the team from Iona University's Hines Institute, which are providing free one-on-one business coaching for veteran entrepreneurs and military spouses. So I'm going to have Amy go ahead and drop the link. I know a lot of you early stage out there need a little bit more hand-holding, might not be ready for VIR yet. And even if you are in the veterans residence in some of our programs, this could still be a great opportunity for you all out there. I'm looking forward to being able to get them on the office hours. Already had them on the Transition podcast, but they're doing great work as one of these community spokes, giving access to accounting services through Bowers & Co. and all kind of stuff going on. So if you need help and assistance, check out Iona's free coaching in the chat. Now, without further ado, we got my man Chris. He's got a 2-year-old coming in hot. So if he jumps on,
he does.
It's all good, man. But like I was telling you, this is the world we live in now. People have a problem with kids jumping on Zoom and live calls. They'll be all right.
Yeah, he didn't wait. It's like he heard you, man. He's like, I'm in. Obviously, his TV show quit.
So, Chris, please introduce yourself to our viewers today. And shout out to everyone tuning in. I see y'all, my man Nick, Olivia, Alana, Jennifer, Scott. Thanks for joining us, man. We're so glad y'all are here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, hey, I'm Chris Ronis. This here is Mason. He's our miracle. And he's just gonna spend a little time with us. It looks like, look at him smiling. calling in from South Dakota, Spearfish, South Dakota, and I just left the Air Force after 27 years in combat search and rescue mission, special operations support, and nuclear security in UH-1 Hueys. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
So, what's top of your mind as you're going through this transition?
Well, transition's tough, right? You get the TAP class and all those things, right? But at the end of the day, there's still just those things you don't know. And one of the things that surprised me, honestly, is when you transition from one unit to another, right? You do some sort of out processing and in processing. But I was really surprised that there wasn't any kind of in processing with the VA, right? I mean, nothing like hey, welcome to where you're at in South Dakota, Chris. Here's your local VFW commander. Here's your local, Foreign Legion commander. Here's here's all the local nonprofits that serve veterans in our community, and oh, by the way, if you missed doing these things in TAP class and maybe didn't get some stuff done with your claim, here's your VSOs. You get an email and some things like that, but just kind of an in-person, hey, welcome to the next level would have been great.
Yeah, it's every man for himself. So
Yeah,
you're out there in the wild, but you found a community, Bunker Labs.
that's right.
How did you get plugged in with Bunker?
It was the craziest thing. In special operations, we have what's called Care Coalition. And one of those folks had mentioned to me about Bunker Labs. I hadn't heard of it while I was active duty. And they knew I wanted to go on some entrepreneurial ventures. And I was just super grateful for that, that I'd heard of it. So when I got to this area, I was doing a skill bridge out here. And it just so happened that the guy that was doing the skill bridge was also the same guy doing the Bunker Labs. And I was like, I want to do that. He was like, well, great, because I need a replacement. I was like, okay, I'm in. Yeah.
So that's not bad. That's not a bad landing. So entrepreneurial wise, what are you working on?
Well, I created a system of thinking. Boy, he is really challenging today, isn't he? Here you go.
He's got the makings of a future Marine. I can already tell.
Yeah, I know. I should find him some crayons, right?
Actually, crayons ready to eat.
Man,
shout out my man Frank Matug.
Frank's got it, man. It's such a awesome business model. I love it, man. I love seeing it. Love the energy behind that. It's awesome. Well, what I'm doing is I was in 2016, a little dark story, right? I lost several of my brothers in combat rescue to veteran suicide, right? And that was hard because these guys were the studs. I mean, these were the guys you went to when you were having a tough time, and it just really floored me. I'd thought a lot over the years about the 22 a day problem. It's been like 20 years at war, right? And yet that number hasn't gone down. And so for me, I just got to really thinking about it. And I had this moment of aha, we've been trying to solve suicide, but here's the challenge. And this goes to business. When you stand up a business, you're trying to solve a problem, right? Suicide, for those people that make that decision, that is their solution to their problems. Right. So we're all trying to solve someone else's solution. And I thought, what they really need is an alternative solution. They need someone to help them with their daily problems upstream, right? And there's another stat that I figured out through a bunch of studies that 40% of people that make that decision and act on it within 5 minutes. That means they got to be their own hero. So I created a card, Matter. You Matter is the name of my business. This acronym is something we use in Air Force aviation when you're in an emergency situation. You maintain control, you keep flying that jet, you analyze the situation, what's really going on, you take an immediate action, then you refer to a plan. Well, there's no plan for this. So I built one. I gave people a checklist that I adapted to life, that when they're in that moment of perceived crisis, they can be their own hero, right? But the rest of what I do is just based off the aviation lessons learned, because in aviation, it's always an emergency waiting to happen. And we learned how to figure out what all those emergencies could be and to prepare for that. And so when you do that, you could adapt those models to life. So that's what I did. To me, I'm not talking about suicide anymore. I'm not talking about suicide prevention. For me, Mike, it's look, I'm not in the business of saving lives anymore, even though that's what I did for 27 years. I'm in the business of helping people live better lives so that they don't need to be saved in the first place. So that's what I'm doing.
And what's cool about, I think, what you're doing is you're kind of coming from a skill set you already have. Like you said, you've been doing search and rescue. Now it's just a different field of play. In terms of how you're able to monetize, this kind of work that you're doing, can you share some insights for us?
I can. That was a real struggle, right? Because this is a very deep human emotional subject, right? And there are a bazillion nonprofits out there doing incredible work towards this. And there's multifaceted solutions, and you've got to have them all. And the first struggle coming into business that I had to ask myself is, am I going to be a nonprofit or a for-profit? And I was really leaning towards nonprofit. But then I had a realization, too, that it's not just veterans, right? It's our active duty military service members, right? And how do we reach those veterans? Because as I studied the problem more and more, I realized that my ultimate user or customer is that veteran who is struggling so hard. They're homeless, they're jobless, they're probably self-medicating. They may or may not have a smart device that they're limping along once a month. And they're not in that state of mind to do the kind of self-actualization that this is. But there are organizations that are helping them get to that point, right? They're finding them, they're helping them get out of those situations and get to a better place. So what I realized is I needed to be profit and what I call profit for purpose. So any one of my what I teach is all online. Anybody could go get it right now. It's private. It's me just talking like this to you. I challenge you to do critical thinking on small problems in your life and figure out the bad habits you want to make or bad habits you want to break and the good ones you want to make and what you don't want to change. But it's just a real easy way to take things into smaller pieces and figure them out. And in that vein, I needed to be able to, as a nonprofit, I couldn't sell it to the DoD, right? Legally. I couldn't sell it to the VA and I couldn't sell it to nonprofits that could then give it to those veterans. So when I sell my product, I give 2 away to veterans who can't afford it so that they can have it available. And that 2 away could be directly to that veteran, or it could be to one of those nonprofits or to the VA. They get extra, those kinds of things so that they can just give them away so that any veteran could have it. And I even put out a free course because I think the basic material is so important that you shouldn't charge for it, period.
That's great. And I think it's important for our listeners to hear this because so many people, they want to start or they want to serve their community, whether it's their local community or the veteran community. And then they have to make that decision. Do I want to go for profit or nonprofit? And so I run both. I run a nonprofit and I run a for-profit. And here's what I will tell you. When I get more margin through my for-profit, I'm able to be more radically generous. I'm able to give free consulting and launch free podcasts and do all those things that are hard to do when I'm fighting for margin, and so I like the fact that you're going down that path. What are you struggling with currently with regards to the business model?
Really, the business model is pretty solid. Family is a challenge always, right? But I'm joking because Mason is tenacious today. I love him, man. He just wants to be with Dada. I can't have anything better than that, man.
It's great.
So with the business model, honestly, it's just getting the word out. It's the marketing, right? And for that, I've got to attack social media. My target market is obviously those who are at highest risk. That's the men and that are ages 18 to right around 27, 28. But it's really everybody. I don't care who you are. You're either in a struggle, you just got out of one, or one's coming for you, and you can build a plan for how to respond to that instead of react to it, right, and have it ready to go. So in that vein, I've got to do a lot of social media marketing. And the biggest challenge for this guy is the environment I came from in the military, right, where, hey, we don't do social media, right? You don't put yourself out there. Most of it's comfort zone stuff. But it's also, just trying to get to the point where you are putting yourself out there, just being real and getting out there where the user's at. So that's putting yourself on Facebook. That's putting yourself on Instagram, putting yourself on LinkedIn for those B2, the B2B customers, right? The VA, the services, the DoD, and those other nonprofits. And one of the biggest challenges for me, honestly, was finding the courage to start exploring TikTok, because we all hear about all this TikTok stuff, and from behind the curtains over on the DoD side, we know some of the risks and challenges with that. And we know some particular nation states that we're concerned with for the information that they're manipulating on those sites. But I decided, first of all, our young men especially really need mentorship. And that's what this is. It's the mentorship that they're not getting that they need. And so in that vein, TikTok is the place to go. And it's also, for that nation state that I'm worried about what information they're gathering, I'm going to get inside their walls and attack from within, and attack from within by talking to those people that need this information the most.
Is that where most of your leads are coming from now, TikTok?
We're just starting on TikTok. Most of the leads are just coming, honestly, word of mouth through other veterans and on the social media stuff that we're using right now, the Facebook and LinkedIn platforms and Instagram.
All right. Can I put my brand hat on for a second?
Yeah, do it.
So this is something that comes up over and over again, right? Veteran entrepreneurs, military spouses start businesses, and they're like, we need to do marketing. And then they say, oh, we need to get on social media. We need to be on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And then you ask them like, hey, man, where are your leads coming from? And they're like, just, word of mouth. Okay, let's unpack that, right? There's a lot of noise on the internet. Everyone is online. right?
Yeah.
They're all promoting themselves. They're all doing the Gary V hustle shuffle, whatever you want to call it, right? And I always try to tell people, who is your perfect customer? Because that is what's going to let you stand out from the crowd. One of the
That's right.
challenges that you're going to have to find is you're going to have to niche down and serve someone specifically, because there's so many veteran organizations trying to solve this veteran suicide, but you have a unique skill set, your background, you're in Dakota, right? So
Yeah.
people are probably a lot more spread out. You've got to carve out a niche that you can own and then communicate that value prop through the niche. And then when you're using social media, right, think of it as more just like, all I want to do is activate my network, right? So it's
That's
like,
right.
hey guys, this is me. This is what I'm doing. And I just want to stay top of mind, right?
That's
So
right.
that way, when they do meet someone that is going through it, they're like, oh man, I need to hook you up with Chris, right?
Yep.
A better way also, other than just TikTok, is to create a list of every contact personally, professionally, email, whatever. Just send them a thoughtful note. Say, hey, Mike, man, just want to let you know, just transitioned out of the Air Force. And this is what I'm up to now. So if you come across anyone that could use some help, please send them our way. And boom. But see, that's the hard thing to do. The easy thing to do is go make a TikTok video and go do all this other stuff. And so I'm not criticizing you. I'm just, we can only spend so much time, right? And it's the 80-20 rule. I want you, as well as the rest of our listeners, to think about, like, are we using the best? Are we maximizing the best effort? And so activate your network, let them know what you're doing, update them, but you don't necessarily have to do the social media hamster wheel race, because you're not just competing for their attention from social media. You're competing their attention from Netflix. You're competing on their attention from all the other stuff that's coming their way.
Yeah, no, that's great, Mike. Thank you. Those everything you said are all the things that we are trying to do. It's like you said, though, it's just me, so I'm prioritizing those things. And what I mean by word of mouth is exactly what you talked about, sending out those notes to the people that know me, that know what I'm up to, and they're doing exactly what you talked about. They're hey, you need to check this out.
Before we transition to book recs, do any of our viewers have a question for Chris and I? The chat's been pretty engaging. People really loving this conversation. Shout out to Kim H. Cross. But if you guys got a question for Chris, feel free to go ahead and drop it. While we're doing that, I will tell you, one of the things him and I were talking about before we went live is the important for those of you that are transitioning to go through this discovery phase. So it's when you're leaving this identity from the military, Mike, I know you're one of them, right? You have this identity that you've held for so long, and now you're in the civilian world, right? And you've got to create a new identity for yourself. And so now you're like, what inputs are you allowing to mold you on that? What are you trying? Are you picking up new hobbies? I would have never knew I liked podcasting, right? And I didn't start producing podcasting until I transitioned in 2015. I didn't launch my first podcast till 2020. But had I not been open-minded and gone in this discovery phase, I could have missed out on this awesome opportunity that I created for myself.
That's right.
Michael Person here wants to know, do you have a TikTok burner phone?
I don't. And I saw that comment, Michael. Thank you. That is a great data point as I move forward. Like I said, right now, I'm just using social media, Facebook and Instagram. And what I mean is I'm posting videos of here's what I'm doing. I'm just being me,
Olivia wants to know, how can we share your info?
Wow. Well, you just go to chrisronis.com and everything out there is right there. You can share that link. There's links to the full course. There's links to the free course. It's all right there. This card you can actually print out for free off of that webpage. Give you a quick reference. There's some other references on how to use that are more definitive, more clearly defined about how to use the tools.
And Jenny James says she sees some great partnerships with veteran-owned businesses. She says, so basically partnering them will help with your social media grind as well as shared resources.
Yeah, absolutely. And someone I saw too mentioned, Rocco on here, Vince Rocco Vargas. That guy he's got the same message that I think is just fantastic. We've got to focus this way. When you eat a donut, Mike, the goal is to get to the center of the donut, right? But you don't start there.
Yeah.
You start with all the stuff around it. And the DOD has 1.3 million people 571 lost their lives in 2021 to suicide, 578. But what about that 1.3? How are we helping them just be better versions of themselves, right? To grow and be strong, because that's the weapon system. 16.5 million veterans, 4 of which are over the age of 80. That means like 7,000 a year we're losing to suicide. And the numbers went up. They just came out with the stats. But it's because we're not focusing on the whole human performance of what we can be.
Olivia wants to know, are you on sam.gov?
I've been waiting since August. I am registered in sam.gov, and I'm just waiting for DLA to finish the final cage approval. Thank you. And
last question, Rick Norpaul wants to know, how do you make money? Memberships?
It's just purchase the product. The product is a full online course. It's not your boring CBT kind of stuff. It is me coaching you and giving you some stories, giving you some simple tools, and it's a mastermind.
Yeah, awesome. We got to make sure you drop your social media handles because people want to follow you, and people want to reach out to you. So we'll be sure to do that. Now we're going to transition to book recs. Chris, what book recommendation do you have for our viewers today?
Oh man, I had 2 and I had to pick one, right? And I'll tell you that the book I just really have fell in love with over the last couple of years is called Never Split the Difference: How to Negotiate as if your life depended on it, by Chris Voss. And if you've never read that, man, it is so helpful. He spent time as an FBI hostage negotiator, right? And before that, he spent a whole bunch of time volunteering on suicide prevention hotlines. And everything you do in life is a negotiation, right? Even if your kids want an ice cream cone, that's a negotiation. And they're just really helpful tools. I love the book because he gives relatable stories to help put the lessons in play.
Love it. My book recommendation is actually my book right here, Black Veteran Entrepreneur, Validate Your Business Model, Build Your Brand, Step into Greatness. The reason I'm recommending this book is 2 things. A lot of people have been showing me some love on social. They've been tagging in and they've been leaving reviews, which I truly appreciate as a self-published author. But also, man, this book is for you all as a community. It's titled Black Veteran Entrepreneur, but I don't care what color you are, black, green, purple, orange, you're going to get tons of value out of this book. And the thing that I'm very proud of is the case studies I was able to feature from a lot of Bunker Labs entrepreneurs, many of whom were featured on the Transition podcast. So check this out. A lot of people hit me up online. They ask me for questions, advice. And I don't mean to be disrespectful. I'm just like, yo, man, read the book. Like, that's what I wrote it, right? Like, read the book. That's why I wrote it. A lot of what's in my mind and how I think about this entrepreneurial journey, I've been punched in the face, beat up, knocked down, got back up like Muhammad Ali. I'm bad. I just share how in this book. And I would love for you all not only to read it, but leave me a review on Amazon so I can continue to get the word out and spread this book, man. It's super humbling. And I'll tell you, make sure you get the hard copy too. Hard copy is nice and pretty. I got it back here on my shelf. So if you guys have any questions about the book or why I wrote it, just feel free to ping me offline. Oh, we lost Chris. Oh, there we go. He's back.
Back up. Yeah, I was like, oh, what happened?
This week on the Transition, I have the team from Iona University. It's great. Make sure you listen to that episode because Iona is putting out some great resources to you all. And if you are tuning into this show and you're plugged into Bunker Labs, I'm telling you, you're in the right place. This is what we do all day. We connect the community with the resources that they need to launch their businesses. And that's including you. And so some of you all, this is your first time. Make sure you're getting plugged in and you're leaning into this Bunker Lab ecosystem. We've got office hours. We've got the Transition that you can listen to on the go, right? We have all kind of programs and resources for you, man. So you are in the right place. I want to shout out our sponsors for the Transition podcast, MetLife Foundation, for sponsoring the show and allowing us to do it. And also want to acknowledge my team behind the scenes, Amy, Carrie. Y'all can't see them, but they are the ones that facilitate office hours each and every week. And so as we prepare to wrap up here, Chris, I would love for you to close us out and give some words of encouragement to our viewers that are tuning in today.
Hey, look, the bottom line is no matter what's going on in your life, most of it is just what you're thinking about, right? You calm yourself down, get yourself one of these cards, and you can be your own hero in that darkest moment. And there is so much more to you than what you think there is, right? So don't just take a moment. No fast hands in the cockpit, right? And the whole mantra that I have is get awesome and stay awesome. Getting awesome is the easy part, Mike. Staying awesome, that's the grind.
I love it. Well, everyone, make sure you tune in each next week. We got another great show for you. And until next time, peace, love, and have a great rest of your week, everyone.